writers, such as George Lucas. My mouth is pretty dry, and I'm going to spend the last of my cash to get something to drink, but I figured I'd make this video. When we think of AI, artificial intelligence, there's a lot of stuff that in Hollywood they try to sell us some morals. One of the things that we get to see is the classism, and of course the idea that if someone or something is created for a purpose, according to you, it must be okay to destroy it. We see that, in this world, we've gone beyond racism. Mace Windu is black, and that's never a problem in Star Wars. But, there is species. Same thing, racism. Who is it that we consider human? Palpatine, he was partial to just humans. He didn't really particularly care for humanoids. You had to be specifically human, or he spread racism. And George Lucas helped to put all of this into the Star Wars universe. It was extremely important. Even in Star Trek, the supposed future utopia, where racism doesn't exist, we still see that classism towards other alien species, don't we? Sometimes we get to learn something different about those alien species. It makes them more humane to us. It makes it so that when they die, it's a terrible thing. We don't do that with the homeless. The homeless are a real life human problem here on planet Earth. You don't get much more reality than that. But we got millions of people want to watch this stuff on TV, right? You want to make it more kid-friendly, so you try to give the robots a little more sentience. More than they would otherwise have. Because now you're trying to entertain kids by putting it into cartoons. A little more childlike. Open to a more childlike audience. And in order to get them to identify with something, well, you got to make it more human. Or maybe just use it for just as a joke or something that you're putting into it just for entertainment purposes. I wonder how kids would react if a robot did this or said this. Would it make them laugh? Now, with artificial intelligence, that's what a lot of people are afraid of. We want to teach our kids to be comfortable and okay with all this stuff, and that your programming is exactly what it's going to do. Well, you might mess up on your programming. That's a human error. If it gains its own sentience, well, what's to stop it? Or what's to stop people's paranoia from destroying it? One of the things in Star Wars that you see towards nearly every race, from the Jedi, with the exception of the droids. The terrible and sad thing about the droids is that the droids in the Star Wars cartoons, they're very much sentient. And the deaths that they have, there's no remorse from anybody who destroys them. They see them as unthinking machines that can only do as ordered. And only to a small degree is that true. There's the excuses, the inhibitor chips, but you get to see droids at the very end of their lives going, all right, well, it's too bad we can't. Yep. It goes to show that it's not just race, it's people's way of thinking. People's idea that whatever sentience there is, it must be stupid. Bovines have actually been shown, especially ones out in nature, to be highly intelligent. We don't think of cows as intelligent. We think of them as steaks and hamburgers. We think of them as McDonald's for, $1.55 or whatever. God, I fucking hate the fact that my hands are exposed, and I'm going to tell you why. There are mosquitoes here. A lot of them. And they keep landing on my hand and landing on my arm, and it's just... Now I'm scratching stuff I probably shouldn't be scratching. But we're going to get back to George Lucas. There's a lot of Star Wars fans that bring up the sentience of those robots and how they feel sorry for them and how they feel bad for them, and even some of them writing about how it was sad to see their kids react to that poor droid dying. You know, that's how near human they made some of these robots. But at that point, are they really robots? Are your kids thinking of them as robots? If it's got a sentience to it and you're getting along with it, well, it doesn't have any reason to do nothing to you negatively necessarily as far as you're concerned. You hope that it has the same moral structures and guidelines as you. But if you give it indications that you're going to try to destroy it because you're afraid of it, that's right. That's the substance of all of your hatred is fear. Master Yoda. And yet Yoda himself slaughtered those friggin' clones mercilessly, didn't he? He didn't care. They were there, they were getting cut down. Of course, the Jedi, with the way they threw away their own soldiers' lives, well, of course, it's all fantasy, right? In that world, the Jedi were not generals. They didn't know the first goddamn thing about what to have those troopers do. They should have had those troopers formulate the battle plan. Those troopers were trained for war. Those Jedi were not. That, of course, is the ineptitude of government. Sure, you can put the logistics in place, but when you put the logistics in place for a bad plan, you get good people killed. Look at General Montgomery during World War II. Operation Market Garden. Jesus, fuck. Monty, how many troops do you lose there? That's not okay. When it comes to racism, it's not just racism. You know, you see in Star Wars how when you're disabled, you can still do something, still make something of yourself. You're General Grievous, you're close to death, you get put back together in a suit of armor. Or you're Anakin Skywalker and you get chopped up and you lose all your limbs but one, and now you're magically in a suit and you can walk around and move and all that. And of course they make it sound horrible by saying that they're in constant pain and this is the source of their hate and their rage. And you know, sure, I can see that. But that's all fantasy. What about the people here on Earth who have those very same injuries, are out on the streets and don't have a biomechanical suit that's going to take them to the stars, and they can magically do these things you pretend they can. These chances, these opportunities that we all have, right? When it comes to doing the right thing, because it's the right thing to do, when it comes to first responders, that all comes down to you when you're there to see it. Just like those two young ladies yesterday, they were with two boys, and one of those boys decided he was going to, well, whatever he had planned, whatever he was going to do, those two young ladies that were with him outside of the Sinclair yesterday, they talked him out of it. That wasn't racism, that's classism. I'm obviously a hobo. He thought he was just being goofy, and you know, maybe he was. Maybe he actually planned on doing something of ill intent, I don't know. I know that as soon as I got close enough to walk up the ramp so I could cross the street, that's the only ramp there to get out of this area right here. Well, there's a walkway here and stairs there, but I was all the way over there, and I wasn't anticipating any troubles from kids. And maybe they were adults, maybe they were 18 or 19, I don't know. They seemed right around that age, but they might have been 16 or 17. But it was because those girls in real life spoke up. They didn't Star Wars it. They didn't go, oh, well, if I was Luke Skywalker or Leia Organa, I would. But I'm not. They didn't go, well, like many of the Christians do. Oh, well, I'm not Jesus. Well, I didn't say you were Jesus. But where's your righteousness? You teach us all these morals on TV, but you condemn anyone who lives by them. By the fact that another human being, even if they have different hair, or maybe different growths are coming off their head, or maybe if their skin is any other color, including green, or leopard spotted, or tiger striped, or maybe different parts of their body are colored different ways. Maybe they speak with a different accent. There's one of the things on Star Wars that there was a guy who was Jamaican, right? And he's doing a Star Wars breakdown, and he's talking about how it affects real life, real people. He liked Jar Jar Binks. He liked Jar Jar Binks. A lot of people saying it's racist that he talked the way that he did, but this Jamaican guy really did like Jar Jar Binks a lot. Also, his theories on Jar Jar being the true Master Sith, I think they're crazy, but it's whatever. It's fantasy. It's entertainment, right? Just like a lot of people take the situation with Natalie Bollinger. The situation that they're looking at is pure fantasy. What this Jamaican feller had a problem with was the third sister, apparently. He was complaining that she was the black sister and she was the weakest at all of them. He also was kind of messed with a lot by her redemption after all of the horrible things she had done, after all of the, literally torturing and killing children. And now she's having some change of emotion, change of heart about the situation. She's going to go after Darth Vader and get whooped her ass by one hand. He did have a couple of things to say about how she was much younger than her opponent, and, he was likely better trained. But, yeah, she was a horrible character to create, and he felt that it didn't do anything good for black society, especially here in America. So I don't know if this guy was in Jamaica or if he had traveled here from Jamaica and lives in the United States and gets to see how it really is here. But, his point about that is very real. He didn't feel that Jar Jar Binks was a big problem, but he kind of saw casting the third sister as such a weak character. Weak-minded, weak-willed, weak at fighting, just weak. I mean, she tried to take Darth Vader from the back, stabbed him through the back. He didn't even have a lightsaber on. He still whipped her ass. He was pissed off that it's basically like when you have black people in horror movies and they're the first ones to get killed. Basically, she's your affirmative action hero, if you will. At that point, she has become the token black character, and we have to do the whole female thing. And if it's a female, we have to have this great redemption. And, well, that redemption failed, of course. But she gave up her life for the right thing. She just destroyed a lot before that. Now, of course, this redemption, this is, not sure if you know how much influence George Lucas had, or Steven Spielberg even, from the Bible, just like Tolkien. And the situations that I'm dealing with, they're very real situations. In Star Wars, we get to see the good and evil, right? Isn't that what it's supposed to be about? And in the end, it's all mud. In the end, people have so many different theories about it. In the end, most people will have disagreements about Star Wars if they really get into it. And a lot of nerds get into it. This is where a lot of their morals come from, but they also live in the real world, and they understand that when they want something, and they don't follow their great and mighty heroes. They don't emulate their great and mighty heroes. They do one thing and say another, just like their parents did, just like their siblings did, just like their aunts and uncles did, and just like their grandparents did. You learn it, and then you live it yourself. This is what you were taught, so this is what you do. When you say that autistic people don't get your social mannerisms, understand it. Oh no, we fully understand it. We don't understand why you do it. Things are better if you're honest. But you guys get embarrassed. Holy shit, that is where you end up saying one thing and doing another. That's almost always over embarrassment. Sometimes it's over fear, but usually embarrassment. You're not so afraid of what people will do, you're afraid of what they think. Because when you're afraid of what people think, then you're afraid of what people might do. And that's where we have a problem. As far as statistics go, yes, I was going to be victimized no matter what. That situation in Virginia with public opinion, there was no way that I was not going to be victimized. However, there were a lot of opportunities for people to help put a stop to it and not waste my resources. To understand the logistics needed to be expended in the proper area. If those resources are being wasted and I have a very limited amount of resources, I'm trying to get my words out, and the longer it takes to get those words out, the more people are killed. It sucks. It sucks to hear about Clearview killing a man over a situation that I tried to speak up in. We've gone far beyond androids and alien species and the color black and white, haven't we? That's the point. Well, you guys are scared of the possibilities of less than 1% chance of these things happening. You're scared of those things. Meanwhile, you don't have any fear of things that are happening every day, because every family covers up for the child molester and helps to make their victim's life a living hell. There are very few families that'll help you to put away the family predator. Usually the man who's doing it, but often the woman. We've come to find out in recent years that women are often the predators of sexual misconduct. Females doing these things to their own sons and daughters. And then, of course, we look on Facebook and we see women who are readily willing and available for damaging men in such a way and bragging about it. Like those women, the one that I like to bring up the most is that kid who was recording him and his ex, and she was saying that she was gonna tell everybody that he was a pedophile because he broke her heart. And he recorded it and put it on the internet. Well, there's actually a lot of those. A lot of people want to do things like that, and we have taught women in this country to do that. That's not a sexist thing from us. That's not a sexist thing from males, where males are hating on you. We don't hate on you for that. We hate the fact that you do it. We hate the fact that you're being taught to do it, but we're not the ones teaching you to do it. And then there's women who will try to manipulate other women with us girls gotta stick together. They'll often do that to one of their female victims, and they'll claim, oh, well, I had to do it because of a male. And no, you didn't have to do it. You never had to do it. Right now, I see a lot of good men taking hell. There isn't much they can do. They are at the mercy of what women think. It doesn't matter what they do. It matters what women think. That's a hard thing for a lot of people to contend with. That your dad could end up homeless because a woman who beat on him for 30 minutes told the cops that he pushed her off. Well, now she's homeless. He's locked up, and when he gets out, he's going to be homeless. He's also going to owe a lot of money for that house. This is all crazy stuff, you know. This is stuff that happens to people every day, and it's out here on the streets. It's both men and women get victimized. And a lot of times, these folks get victimized to the point that no matter how solid their morals are, the only way they can see to get forward in any way is to victimize someone else. It's the only thing they see working. And that's because they're right. That is the only thing that's working. Laws are set up to protect the predators and not the actual victims. Especially if that victim is male or homeless or can be called mentally ill. Good to be Iridia. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble. Don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and no victim left behind.